Have you ever felt like you're constantly giving, always there for everyone else, but no one ever seems to truly appreciate it? You do everything for others, yet your needs are ignored, and you're left feeling exhausted and empty. What if I told you that the reason for this isn't just bad luck or the wrong people in your life? What if I told you that it's because you're constantly making yourself available to others without ever considering your own value or limits? It's time to change that. Today we're going to talk about how to break free from the cycle of unappreciation and build a life where you are respected, valued, and finally able to take control of your time and energy. This isn't just about learning to say no, it's about teaching others to value your worth and, most importantly, valuing yourself first. Stick with me, because what you're about to hear will be the first step toward real, lasting change. Are you paying the price for always being available? The toll of constantly putting others before yourself is heavy, emotionally, mentally, and physically. You might feel overwhelmed, drained, and stuck in a pattern that leaves you little time or energy to focus on your own needs. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that the more you give, the more people will appreciate you. But in reality, the opposite often happens. When you're always available, you're teaching others that your time and energy are limitless. You're pushing your own needs to the side, and eventually you'll begin to feel exhausted, unfulfilled, and even resentful. Burnout sets in when you give too much, and eventually you have nothing left to give, neither to yourself nor to others. This is the hidden cost of always being there for everyone else. The desire to please others can be a powerful force. Many people live in the shadow of the false belief that if they just give enough of themselves, if they keep saying yes and never let anyone down, they will be loved, respected, and appreciated in return. But here's the reality. When you constantly put others' needs before your own, you're not serving them, you're neglecting yourself. Do you really serve others by losing yourself in the process? The truth is that people can't truly value you if you don't value your own time, energy, and well-being. The more you give without limits, the less people will appreciate you. You become a convenience, not a priority. It's time to break that cycle and start putting yourself first. When you put everyone else's needs above your own, you're not just neglecting yourself, you're also setting yourself up for feelings of resentment and isolation. You may feel like you're always there for others, yet when you need support, you find yourself alone. Over time, this imbalance breeds frustration. You might start resenting the people you once tried so hard to help because, deep down, you feel taken for granted. The emotional cost is real, and it can lead to a loss of self-worth. When you give without limits, you dilute your own value, and others stop seeing you as someone with needs and boundaries. Instead, you become someone they can call on whenever it's convenient for them. This is the price of neglecting your own needs, and it's a price that you don't have to pay anymore. Now let's talk about the power of setting boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they are the foundation upon which healthy relationships are built. Boundaries protect your time, your energy, and your peace of mind. They are not selfish, they are necessary. Saying no doesn't mean rejecting others, it means protecting yourself. And when you protect yourself, you're showing others how to treat you with respect. Imagine how much more you could give when you're not running on empty. Setting boundaries means you take control of your time and energy, and in doing so, you start demanding the respect you deserve. If you're afraid that setting boundaries will lead to rejection or hurt feelings, you're not alone. Many people fear the guilt that comes with saying no, but the truth is that saying no is not the problem. It's the fear of doing so that holds us back. The key is to say no firmly, yet kindly. Practice it. You can be assertive without being harsh. When you stop apologizing for protecting your own needs, you'll realize that saying no is actually a powerful act of self-respect. People will learn to respect your time when you teach them that it's valuable. When you stop giving without limits, you start teaching people to appreciate you, and that is where the magic happens. Now let's talk about why you're being taken for granted. It's not that people are intentionally trying to exploit you, it's that they've learned to expect your availability, and you've allowed them to do so. The cycle of overgiving and underappreciation is a pattern, and if you don't recognize it, it will continue. What happens when you're always there for others, but they never show up for you? You'll feel exhausted, unappreciated, and resentful. The longer you let this pattern go on, the harder it becomes to break. But don't worry, it's not too late. The first step is recognizing that this cycle exists, and the second step is deciding to change it. You deserve more than to be taken for granted. When you begin to value yourself, you'll start to see the difference in how others treat you. It's not about being harsh or cutting people out of your life. It's about setting clear expectations for what you need and deserve. Start by valuing your own time. Are you respecting your own time enough for others to value it? The answer is likely no. People mirror the way you treat yourself. When you give them the impression that your time and energy are unlimited, they will take advantage of it. But when you begin valuing yourself and your time, you'll find that others begin to do the same. Quality over quantity, this is key. Stop giving away everything. Be selective with your time. When you give it away freely to everyone, you dilute your value. But when you give your time and energy to those who truly value it, you build stronger, more meaningful relationships. You teach others that your time is precious, and that respect is earned, not given. This shift is a game changer. It's time to teach others how to appreciate you. Start by valuing yourself and then be consistent in setting and enforcing your boundaries. Every time you honor your own time, you send a message to others that you are worth respecting. You're not a vending machine for their convenience. You're a person with needs, desires, and limits, and it's time to make that clear. By doing so, you'll create relationships based on mutual respect, and you'll stop being taken for granted. The foundation of living a balanced, fulfilling life is aligning your actions with your values. It's not enough to just say you want a better life, you must live in accordance with what truly matters to you. This means creating boundaries that reflect your values and priorities. Ask yourself, are you living in accordance with what truly matters to you, or are you simply reacting to the demands of others? When you live according to your values, you create a life that feels authentic and purposeful. Self-care is an essential part of this process. You can't give from an empty well. Take time for yourself to rest, recharge, and pursue your passions. You cannot build a life that matters if you're constantly drained. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. You can't build a skyscraper without a solid foundation, and your personal well-being is that foundation. Living a balanced life means balancing your relationships, work, and personal time. If one area takes over, it throws everything else out of whack. True happiness comes from creating balance. Take responsibility for your own happiness. You are the architect of your life. If you don't change, you will miss opportunities for personal growth. Every time you neglect your own needs for the sake of others, you're passing up chances to grow, to learn, and to move forward. What are you losing by always being available to others? What opportunities are passing you by because you're stuck in a cycle of unappreciation? You have the power to stop this, but if you don't make a change, you will continue to feel unfulfilled, stuck, and drained. The longer you stay in this cycle, the harder it becomes to break free. Constant availability leads to isolation and resentment. You may start to feel like you're doing everything for others, but when it's time to ask for help, you find no one is there. This imbalance creates emotional distance and frustration. If you don't change now, you'll continue to feel this sense of isolation, and the resentment will grow. It's time to break the cycle. You don't have to live a life of self-neglect. You don't have to settle for being unappreciated, but you must take action now. Start setting boundaries today. You'll be amazed at how quickly your life starts to shift when you begin to value yourself and demand the same from others. This is your moment. It's time to take control of your life. You are worthy of respect, of love, and of appreciation. You have the power to transform your life starting today. Set your first boundary now. Respect your time, respect your energy, and demand that others do the same. The life you've always wanted is within your reach, but it starts with you right now. Have you ever felt like you're constantly saying yes to everyone around you, but you're slowly losing yourself in the process? You show up for others time and time again, and yet you find yourself more drained, more stressed, and less fulfilled. It's like you're giving pieces of yourself away, and before long, there's nothing left for you. I'm here to tell you that it's time to stop this cycle. Being there for everyone else might feel noble, but it comes with a hidden cost. Today, I want to show you what you're really sacrificing when you overcommit, how burnout sneaks up on you, and why being constantly available leaves you at risk of being taken for granted. By the end of this speech, you'll have a clear understanding of the impact of always being available, and more importantly, you'll know what to do to reclaim your time, your energy, and your sense of self. What are you really giving up by always saying yes to others? We often think we're helping, but the truth is that every time we put someone else's needs before our own, we sacrifice something of ourselves, our peace of mind, our emotional stability, our time, our energy. The mental and emotional toll of being always available is heavy. The stress builds up quietly at first. You say yes to this task, yes to that request, and soon you're juggling more than you can handle. Before you know it, that sense of overwhelm has become a constant companion. The problem is that we don't always realize the cost until it's too late. What are you sacrificing by saying yes to everyone but yourself? Your health? Your happiness? Your peace of mind? Ask yourself that every time you're faced with another request. Because every time you say yes out of obligation or fear of disappointing someone, you're neglecting something far more important, your own well-being. Burnout. It creeps up slowly, quietly, until one day you realize you're running on empty. You've given so much of yourself to everyone else that there's nothing left for you. You've overcommitted, and now you're paying the price. We often wear burnout like a badge of honor, thinking that if we're exhausted, we must be doing something right. But here's the truth. Burnout isn't a sign of success. It's a sign that you've neglected yourself for far too long. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you keep giving away your energy without replenishing it, you're setting yourself up for a crash. Imagine your cup overflowing with everything you've given to others, but you're the one who's left empty. Overcommitting doesn't make you a hero, It makes you a person who has forgotten how to take care of themselves. And when your cup is empty, you can't continue giving to anyone, including yourself. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself if others truly appreciate your constant availability? It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that by always being there for others, you'll earn their appreciation and respect. But what often happens is the exact opposite. The more available you are, the less people seem to value you. It becomes an expectation, not a privilege. And that's when the danger of being taken for granted sets in. You may feel like you're constantly needed, but you rarely feel truly valued. What happens when you're always there for others, but they never show up for you? That imbalance takes an emotional toll. You start feeling drained, unappreciated, and resentful. The more you enable others to take you for granted, the more they begin to expect your availability without any sense of gratitude. This is where the danger lies. Are you really helping others, or are you just enabling them to take you for granted? When you don't set boundaries, you let others treat you as though you have unlimited time and energy, and that's not just unfair to you, it's unsustainable. You don't have to keep paying the price for always being available. It's time to start valuing yourself, your time, and your energy as much as you value others. Have you ever felt overwhelmed, constantly giving away your time and energy to others, only to feel drained, unappreciated, and stuck? Do you ever wonder why people seem to take advantage of your kindness, never respecting your limits? It's because without boundaries, you're giving others permission to control your life. The boundaries aren't just about saying no, they are about taking control of your life, protecting your peace, and showing the world how much you respect yourself. Today, I want to talk to you about the power of setting boundaries and why they are one of the most important tools for reclaiming your time, your energy, and your sense of self-worth. If you're ready to stop living for everyone else and start living for yourself, then stay with me. What you're about to hear will shift the way you view your relationships, your time, and your own power. Boundaries are limits you set to protect your time, your energy, and your mental health. They are the invisible lines that define where your responsibility ends and where someone else's begins. When you have boundaries, you are saying, this is my space and I am not willing to let others cross it. But when you don't have boundaries, you leave yourself open to being pulled in every direction by others' needs and demands. And without those limits, you allow others to dictate your time and your life. Think about it. If you don't decide what your boundaries are, someone else will. You might think that being constantly available is a way to show love or care for others, but in reality, it's a fast track to burnout. Boundaries aren't selfish. They are necessary for you to maintain balance, protect your energy, and ultimately respect yourself. When you start setting boundaries, something incredible happens. You begin to teach others to respect your time and your energy. You stop being a doormat, and you start becoming someone others look up to and respect. When you say no to something that drains you, you're saying yes to yourself. You're telling others that your time is valuable and that you are not available at their every whim. This shift changes the dynamic of your relationships. Instead of people expecting you to drop everything for them, they will start respecting your space, your time, and your needs. And here's the thing, respect doesn't come from constantly doing for others. It comes from having the strength to prioritize your own needs. When you start saying no, you set the tone for how others treat you. And when you treat your time as valuable, others will too. It's not just about getting respect from others, it's about starting with self-respect. Now, I know that the idea of setting boundaries can make you uncomfortable. There's a fear that people will think you're selfish or that you'll disappoint others. But let me tell you something, saying no is not saying no to the person, it's saying yes to you. It's saying yes to your mental health, your time, your energy. The guilt that comes with setting boundaries isn't a reflection of your character, it's a reflection of your old habits and beliefs. The truth is, you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you keep saying yes to others, you will eventually burn out. And when you're drained, you have nothing left to give. You don't need to apologize for taking care of yourself. Saying no is an act of self-preservation, not selfishness. You don't have to over-explain yourself or feel guilty about it. A simple, firm no is enough, and as you practice it, you will build confidence. You will see how people begin to respect your limits. Over time, saying no will become easier, and you'll realize that it's not about rejecting others, it's about protecting your well-being. Boundaries don't just protect your time, they also help you build confidence and strengthen your sense of self-worth. Think of boundaries as walls, strong walls that protect you from the chaos and demands of the world, giving you the space you need to grow. The stronger your boundaries, the stronger you become. As you continue to practice setting limits, you'll notice a shift in how you feel about yourself. You'll feel more empowered, more in control of your life. Boundaries help you take charge of your time and energy. They allow you to say, this is my life, and I get to decide how it's spent. And as you honor your own needs, your confidence will grow. Each time you set a boundary and follow through, you are telling yourself, I am worthy of respect. I am worthy of my time. Strong boundaries help you build a strong sense of self. And the more you honor them, the more you will see how others begin to treat you with the same respect you've given yourself. The power of boundaries is in your hands. They are the key to reclaiming your time, your energy, and your peace of mind. Don't let anyone dictate your life. Take control. Protect your well-being. Start setting boundaries today. Have you ever felt like no matter how much you give, it's never enough? Like you're constantly giving of yourself, but somehow the people around you don't appreciate it? Or maybe you feel like you're bending over backward just to keep others happy, only to feel drained and invisible? This isn't just about being kind or helpful. This is about losing yourself in the process. In this speech, I'm going to show you how to break free from the cycle of overgiving, people-pleasing, and seeking approval. It's time to stop giving away your power. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. What you need is respect. And it starts with you. If you're tired of being taken for granted, stick with me. What you're about to hear could be the key to reclaiming your life, your time, and your self-respect. People-pleasing is a trap. It's a deep-seated need to seek approval from others, often at the expense of your own well-being. People-pleasers prioritize everyone else's needs and wants over their own. They go out of their way to make others happy, hoping that if they're always agreeable and helpful, they'll earn the love and respect they crave. But let me ask you this: what are you really sacrificing by constantly seeking approval? Your energy, your peace of mind, your self-respect? The truth is, when you constantly seek validation from others, you lose touch with what truly matters, your own values and needs. Instead of building relationships based on mutual respect, you create a dynamic where you are constantly chasing someone else's approval. Ask yourself, are you seeking approval or are you seeking respect? There's a big difference. Respect is earned by showing others you value yourself enough to set limits, not by bending over backward to keep them happy. The cycle of overgiving is something many of us fall into without even realizing it. You give and give your time, your energy, your support, only to feel like you're left with nothing in return. And what do you get in return for all that giving? Often nothing but exhaustion and frustration. But why do we keep doing it? Because it's become a habit. It feels good to help others, and it feels even better when we think we're earning their approval. But what happens when you're constantly giving yet receiving little or nothing in return? You start feeling taken for granted. People begin to expect it. They begin to see you as someone who will always be there, no matter how much it costs you. And here's the harsh reality: others won't value your time unless you start valuing it yourself. Overgiving is unsustainable. It creates an imbalance where you are constantly pouring into others while neglecting your own needs. If you keep overgiving, you'll soon find yourself drained and depleted, emotionally, mentally, and physically. No one can keep giving without taking the time to replenish themselves. If you're not careful, you'll end up resenting the very people you're trying to help. The law of reciprocity is a powerful force in relationships. This law says that people tend to reciprocate what is given to them, whether it's love, kindness, or time. But what happens when you give too much, with no expectation of anything in return? The message you send is clear: you're willing to give and give without asking for anything in return. And when that happens, you diminish your value in the eyes of others. Why? Because people start to expect that you'll always be there for them, and eventually they stop appreciating it. Relationships, whether personal or professional, are built on give and take. If you're always the one giving and never asking for anything in return, you're sending the message that your needs don't matter. But your needs do matter. You deserve to be treated with respect, and that starts with valuing yourself enough to set boundaries and ask for what you need. What message are you sending by making yourself constantly available without expecting or receiving anything in return? Take a moment to reflect on that. If you want to be valued, you have to teach others to value you. And that starts with giving not just your time but also your attention to the things that truly matter in your life. Breaking free from being taken for granted starts with changing your mindset. It starts with recognizing that you don't have to prove your worth by overgiving or seeking approval. You are already worthy of respect. It's time to stop giving away your power and start taking control of your relationships and your life. By setting boundaries, valuing your time, and demanding respect, you can begin to create relationships that are balanced and mutually fulfilling. You deserve to be treated with the same care and respect you give to others. Stop seeking approval and start commanding respect. Have you ever felt like you're constantly giving but never truly getting back? Like you're putting in so much effort, your time, your energy, your heart, and yet people don't seem to appreciate you the way you deserve? What if I told you the key to being truly appreciated lies not in how much you give, but in how you value yourself? The truth is, true appreciation begins with you. It starts when you decide to treat yourself with the same respect, care, and boundaries you expect from others. In this speech, I'm going to challenge you to stop waiting for others to recognize your value and instead start defining it for yourself. This isn't just about feeling good for a moment, it's about creating a lasting change in how you are seen, how you are treated, and ultimately how you live. Stay with me because what you're about to hear could change the way you interact with the world forever. The foundation of being truly appreciated starts with valuing yourself first. If you don't see your own worth, no one else will. Think about it, how can others appreciate your time if you don't first show them that it's worth something? When you respect yourself, you set the tone for how others treat you. If you're constantly sacrificing your time and energy for others without any consideration for your own well-being, people will mirror that. They will take advantage of you knowingly or unknowingly because they see that you're willing to give it all away. But when you protect your time, when you recognize your own needs and boundaries, you communicate to the world that you deserve respect. It's not selfish, it's necessary. If you don't value yourself, you teach others not to value you either. The first step to being truly appreciated is to recognize your own worth. Your time, your energy, and your presence are valuable. Protect them. We've all been there, spreading ourselves thin, trying to do everything for everyone. But here's the thing, you can't pour from an empty cup. The key to being truly appreciated is understanding that quality is always more important than quantity. When you're constantly available to everyone, all the time, your value gets diluted. What's the point of giving your time if it's not truly impactful? Think about the people who really matter in your life. Are you giving them your best, or is your energy being scattered on people who don't truly appreciate it? It's time to stop spreading yourself thin. Be more intentional about where you invest your time. The relationships and tasks that truly deserve your energy are the ones that should get your best. Everything else, it's okay to say no. In fact, it's essential. You can't afford to give away your time indiscriminately without considering the long-term impact it's having on you and the relationships you care about. So ask yourself, is the time you're giving others really worth the investment of your energy? If not, it's time to make some changes. You are not a vending machine. Let that sink in for a moment. You are not here to serve everyone's needs on demand. But too often we fall into the trap of being available whenever someone calls, whenever someone needs something, even if it's not something we can give without sacrificing our own well-being. It's time to teach others how to treat you. The first step, be assertive, set clear boundaries, and don't be afraid to reinforce them. If you say no, stand by it. If you need time for yourself, take it. And most importantly, be consistent. If you're constantly bending to everyone's needs without ever asking for anything in return, you send a message that your time and energy are limitless, and that's simply not true. You're not a vending machine. People will only learn to respect your time and energy when you show them that you do. And when you do, they will begin to appreciate you in a way that's based on mutual respect, not just what you can give them. So take the lead. Teach others how to treat you. The more you respect your own boundaries, the more others will follow suit. Respect yourself enough to stop being taken for granted. You are worthy of appreciation, but it starts with you being clear about your value and showing the world what it means to treat you with respect. The more you give, the less you're appreciated unless you set clear limits and recognize your own worth. So if you're tired of being overlooked or undervalued, start by valuing yourself first. Once you do that, others will follow your lead, and that's when true appreciation begins. Have you ever felt like you're constantly running in circles trying to meet everyone's expectations, but somehow it never feels right? Have you ever wondered if there's more to life than simply going through the motions, or if you're truly living in a way that aligns with what matters to you? What if I told you that the key to finding peace, success, and real happiness is not in doing more, but in doing less of what doesn't matter and more of what truly aligns with your values? Today marks a turning point. In this speech, I'll show you how to start living a life of purpose and respect, not just for others, but for yourself. We'll explore the steps you can take to align your actions with what truly matters, make time for what fuels you, and create a balanced life that allows you to be your best, both for yourself and for the people you care about. Stay with me because this message could be the foundation for a life that truly honors who you are. Living a life of purpose starts with aligning your actions with your values. You see, setting boundaries is not just about saying no to others, it's about saying yes to what you truly believe in. It's about prioritizing what matters most to you and creating space for those things, even if it means letting go of what doesn't serve you. Ask yourself, are you living for others or are you living for yourself? Too many of us get caught up in doing things because we feel obligated or because others expect us to. We follow routines, careers, or relationships that don't reflect who we really are or what we truly want. But the truth is, if your daily actions aren't a reflection of your core values, you'll always feel a sense of emptiness, no matter how much you accomplish. Living authentically means making choices that align with your values, setting boundaries where necessary, and prioritizing the things that matter most to you. This is your life and you only get one. Make sure your actions are guiding you toward the future you want, not the one that others want for you. Making time for yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. Think of it like this: you can't build a skyscraper without a solid foundation. If you're constantly giving away your time, your energy, and your attention without making space for yourself, you'll eventually burn out. you'll start to feel exhausted, disconnected, and drained. The key to long-term success and personal growth is learning to prioritize self-care. It's not about being lazy or indulgent, it's about giving yourself the time and space you need to recharge, to reconnect with what matters to you, and to become the best version of yourself. When you take care of yourself, you become more present, more focused, and more energized for everything else in your life. So make it a priority to carve out time for rest, hobbies, and personal reflection. Whether it's taking a walk, reading a book, or simply sitting in silence, these moments of self-care are essential for your growth. Don't wait until you're running on empty. Make time for yourself now so you can show up fully for everything and everyone that matters to you. A balanced life is the key to happiness and success. It's not about having everything perfectly in order, it's about aligning your time and energy with your values and making room for what's truly important. We all have different responsibilities, work, relationships, personal goals, but it's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of life and forget about balance. To achieve this, you need to set clear priorities. What matters most to you right now? What can you say no to so you can say yes to what truly adds value to your life? Balance doesn't mean you're constantly doing everything at once. It means you're intentional with where you spend your time and how you show up. It's about creating healthy routines that support your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Take time to evaluate how you're spending your days. Are you focusing on the things that matter most, or are you just reacting to whatever life throws at you? Remember, balance isn't about perfection, it's about creating a life that works for you. A life that honors both your needs and the needs of others. When you find balance, that's when you'll experience true happiness, because you're living a life that respects both your values and your well-being. Keep in mind that balance is a journey, not a destination. It takes constant adjustments, but as long as you're in alignment with your core values, you're on the right path. Are you tired of feeling like you're constantly giving yet never receiving the appreciation you deserve? Do you feel stuck in a cycle of always being available for others, but never making time for yourself? It's time to break free. In this session, we're diving into the tough but transformative truth: if you don't start valuing your own time, others won't either. This isn't just about learning how to say no, it's about reclaiming your life, creating boundaries that protect your energy, and finally stepping into the respect you deserve. We'll explore the consequences of neglecting your needs, how to break free from unhealthy patterns, and most importantly, how to make lasting changes. What you're about to hear isn't just advice, it's a roadmap for taking control of your life. Stick around, because today could mark the beginning of the transformation you've been waiting for. When you keep putting others' needs ahead of your own, you start missing out on your own growth. Think about it: by constantly being there for others, how much time are you taking away from yourself? What dreams are you ignoring? What goals are you postponing? The cost of saying yes to others too often is that you're saying no to your own development. You're letting opportunities slip by because you're stuck in a pattern of self-sacrifice. Growth, whether it's personal or professional, takes time. But if you're always available for someone else, when do you have the time to work on what truly matters to you? Balancing support for others is important, but not at the expense of your own dreams. If you're not investing in your own goals, how do you expect to ever move forward? It's time to start redirecting some of that energy inward. Ask yourself, how could your time be better spent? What could you accomplish if you started saying yes to yourself just as often as you say yes to others? When you overgive without getting anything back, it can feel like you're emotionally alone, no matter how many people surround you. You start to feel taken for granted, like everyone's using your time and energy without truly appreciating it. And that's when resentment starts to build up. Think about your relationships for a moment. Are you building genuine connections, or are you just enabling others to depend on you without offering anything in return? Relationships are supposed to be reciprocal, where both parties give and receive. But if you're always the one giving without ever receiving, you're creating an imbalance. Over time, that imbalance leads to emotional isolation. It's draining to pour everything into relationships that don't nourish you back. You end up feeling exhausted, unappreciated, and alone in a crowd. If you're constantly giving and never receiving, you'll feel like you're drowning in resentment. You deserve to be in relationships where your needs are also respected and appreciated. True connections thrive on mutual respect, not on one-sided sacrifices. It's easy to fall back into old patterns of overgiving, especially when you've done it for so long. But if you don't recognize the cycle, you'll find yourself stuck in the same place, feeling unappreciated and drained. If you've been giving and sacrificing for others at the cost of your own happiness and growth, it's time to break free. Recognize the patterns you've created. Acknowledge that if you keep doing the same thing, you'll keep getting the same results. And let me tell you something: nothing will change unless you make it change. The power is in your hands. You are the one who can stop the cycle. You can create new boundaries today. You can choose to stop being taken for granted, but it requires action, immediate action. It's time to stop living for others and start living for yourself. You deserve to be respected, and that starts with you. You don't have to keep repeating the same mistakes. Take control now and create a life where your energy is valued. Your value is not determined by how much you give away. Your time, your energy, your focus, they're precious. When you set boundaries and respect your own time, others will start to do the same. You don't have to keep saying yes to things that drain you. Start small, set one boundary today. Whether it's saying no to something that doesn't serve you, or taking time for yourself instead of always being there for others, it's a start. And that start will build momentum. You are worth respecting. The world will respect you when you respect yourself. Stop being available for people who don't value your time. Don't waste another day in a cycle of unappreciation. Today is the day to make a change. Take that first step towards creating the life you deserve. It's time to step forward with confidence, knowing that your time is valuable. You deserve to be appreciated. Let today mark the beginning of a new chapter, one where you are valued for who you truly are.